So February 2020 was that time of, it almost felt like I was starting from scratch, day one. You know when you haven't exercised for a while and you go in and you're thinking, this is going to be painful. This is going to probably be quite ugly. I don't know if I want to do this. And I might have made a big mistake here. That was February 2020. So the payments each month, just to give you a bit of context, I don't mind doing that at all. January 2020, I had to make a deposit of £300. And then my first payment was to take me up to that £750. So my second bit was £450. And that was when I suddenly was having to be in that trust that I was in the right place, that I was doing the right thing. Whispers of COVID started to come up. And this was a real moment of stay in the room, focus, go back to that vision. Why are you doing this? Don't get distracted. Turn down the noise. Listen to what you need to do. Connect with that bigger vision. It was basically me, you know, like that England goal player where he's like, when he was doing penalties and he was talking to himself like, no problem, here we go, no problem. I had to do that pep talk because people talk about this thing about investing like it's easy. Yeah, I just invested. Yeah, I invested. Every time I've invested, and Matt always says this, he's like, but you've done this before. Why are you feeling the fear again? Because sometimes I've invested less on something new, but I still get it. I still get it every single time. I go back to that day one of, it hurts, I can't do it, I'm sweating, I don't like it, I'm going to be sick. That's how I felt. And what I had to do was to go inwards. It was a very short, snappy lesson. And knowing that I have to be in that moment, and sometimes that fear, and of course we're talking about fear within a comfort zone situation. Of course there's many times that people experience fear which are just too huge and unfathomable, and this is about, you know, I knew that this was fear that I could still feed my family, but it certainly felt out of my comfort zone. It still felt like I was in doubt of whether I had to do the right thing. And so as I was navigating that tightrope, I just had to go inwards, go for the bigger picture, go for the vision. Why are you here? Why are you doing this? What are you going to gain? Get excited. So of course you can have both of those situations going on at the same time. You can be full of dread and fear and like, I don't like it. But on the other side of that, then it could be something really exciting and really fantastic. And you just have to be in the game, as Brené Brown says. March 2020, the universe handed me almost like a celebratory snack and refreshment for doing so well for investing. And this often happens where you take a step, where you take a leap, where something moves, where you create momentum. And this often happens, you know, it's like you wait for ages for a bus and then suddenly two come at once. Or you've been really struggling with something and you unlock a piece of it and then suddenly, like I'm doing some kind of kind of dance move. You feel that ripple effect and you almost have that moment of like, oh, okay, great. I was right to do that, because March came and the clients came. Hi, Nikki, can I work with you? Nikki, can I book you for this? Nikki, I'm really interested. Nikki, I've been thinking about this, this, and this. March, it almost had that crescendo moment of being popular, being open. I was finding my flow again with Luna. And to be able to have that container, that coach, that group, that place where I could go back to and say, hi, everybody, I'm doing this. So I guess there were different parts to this. I'd made the investment, so I was serious. Like there was no like, I'll just make the investment and then not do the work. I was doing the work. I was showing up. I was delivering. I was doing a really great job. The second thing is that energy is really infectious. And so I've learned over time, if you're not feeling good, don't go on social media. I know it's really cool and trendy to like share everything and to be in bunny ears your most authentic self. But if you're running a business that relies on you being professional, in my case, I didn't want to go on and go, guys, I've just had another really terrible night and neither of my children are sleeping and I'm just awake a lot. Like, no, nobody wants to hear that stuff. And again, in that 24-hour period, there are so many other things that are going on with that. I was watching some really great telly. I think I watched Normal People during that time. I spoke about that. I was listening to some great podcasts because I was walking a lot, getting my baby to sleep. I spoke about those. I might have even read a couple of books. Is that true? I think so. I don't know. Maybe that's false. I listen to audios. Read books. What am I on about? I've still not really read many books. But choose that energy. Think about that 24-hour period and share bits that are going to be useful. Don't be a pain in the arse when you go on social media unless you have healed that stuff and that you know that you can be professional and you're attracting the opportunities that you want. April 2020 was when we were all at home. I know that happened in March as well, but I think April was really that moment for so many of us where the reality struck. And the reality of, we just Zoom then, do we? Is that what we do? Is this how we operate? Also the reality of the fear, of the enormity, of the sadness, of the uncertainty. And within that moment, I came back to this sense, like Oprah says, of what do I know to be true? What are the foundations? What do I know works? How can I serve? What is going to be the most easiest and effective way of doing this? And that was a real turning point for me. This was no time with 2 children at home to overcomplicate things and to go into education mode and to tell myself I wasn't ready. I was the only person in the house who was working and bringing in an income. And so I had to think about how can I do that in the most effective way with the time that I have available. And essentially that is what building a personal brand is all about. It's about being focused on what can you do right now. Some things are going to be another time, another state, another reason, another season. You know, like I've got a book in me, for example. I want to write a second book. Is now the time to do that in April 2020 when the world is doing all kinds of crazy things? No, I was not that person who was in that situation to be able to do that. I had 3 mouths to feed. I needed to go for the reliable moments. I needed to focus. I needed to get clarity. I needed to deliver and do what I said that I needed to do. So sometimes those glossy moments of learning and thinking and reflecting, sometimes in business we have those moments and they're not for now. So essentially what I'm saying is it's okay to do the basics. It's okay to do what you've always done. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. You can really focus on that one idea of how you can be useful and market it to people who will also find it useful.